Good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching from different time zones, good morning or good evening. My name is Marilyn, founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions, or CTS Private Limited. We are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and takers to transform and thrive by co creating customized programs with our world class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony, PruLife UK, Ayala, Chevron, Tencent, Jollibee Food Corporations, and Shell, to name a few. Expert says that the pandemic will last for the next 4 to 5 years. Don't know how to stay relevant and adapt in the new normal? Do you find it stressful to lead and ensure performance of remote team? Afraid that you can't keep your team and business? So, we are organizing several interventions to help leaders stay relevant and lead effectively, including this interview. And for today, it's my great pleasure to introduce Betty Lau. Betty has extensive experience and accomplishments at country, regional, and global levels in talent management, leadership development, learning for the mass, organizational development, and diversity and inclusions. Her experience spanned from travel, hospitality, entertainment, real estate, FMCG, pharmaceutical, and university executive education sector. She has lived and worked in many countries such as Hong Kong, Switzerland, China, and Singapore. In her 20 plus years of experience, she has worked with C-suites, key, key talents, frontline workers, and government officials. She has led a team to be the first Asian business school to achieve Financial Times Executive Education World Top 50 ranking. Her strong passion for lifelong learning and giving back to the society brings her to various board appointments, including Singapore Government Lifelong Learning Council, Executive Development Associates, and IMD's Executive Education Advisory Council. She is also involved in NGO CEO mentoring program to support NGOs on organizational development, talent assessment, development, and succession planning projects. So, without so much further ado, I'd like to bring in Betty. Hi, Betty.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, very well. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me to join you for such an interesting conversation.
Thank you. And it's my pleasure to have you today. And so we will start right away. So the first three questions is basically an understanding or your leadership style, your influencers and all, and how you define some stuff. And then we will move on to some um, meaty nuggets from your experiences and what you can share with us. And the last two questions will be my Miss Universe questions. So to start with, I just wanted to let our audience understand where you're coming from. So please
Mm.
do share with us your leadership experiences and influencers.
Mm. I think I have been very fortunate in my past, working experience. I have met a lot of good leaders who become a good mentor and also a coach. We stay contact until now for more than 20 years. I still got their support, got their inspiration. I also have met very good people developer who gave me a lot of development opportunities, exposure, and I also have a very laissez-faire boss who only craft clear KPI and a good boundary so that I can be very creative and innovative with my work. And I
Mhm.
also have a very grounded boss who always listen to the front line, even though they are global CEO, but they spend time with the frontline people to listen to them and trying to help them.
Mhm.
However, I also meet some leaders who are very power hungry, put self-interest in the first also. So it's a mixed experience. So I learn a lot.
That's good to hear. At least, because sometimes they said if you don't get to experience some of the bad things,
Mm,
you won't really appreciate the good things. You've mentioned that you're so blessed to be able to work with great mentors. in your past experiences, and that's really good. I mean, you have great experiences with them, right? So having said that, I mean, from your experience in the corporate world and being a management consultant as well, what is leadership for you?
I think leadership, I can summarize in 6 words. It's basically impact on people, business, and society.
Mm-hmm.
So let me elaborate a bit more. As a leader, you have to bring others around you and up. You have to supporting others to make them to be more productive, more effective, and you have to put people in the right place at the right time. You have to
Mm-hmm.
trust and respect them so that they will work with you. And I think the most important thing is you have to have very independent thinking rather than just going with the flow. Because I think, if you just go with the flow, it's very difficult for you to lead people, to inspire people.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. So that's about creating impact, like what you've mentioned,
Mm.
um, in the people and of course the business that you're running, right? Thank you. And so, how would you define and describe the next normal? I mean, a lot of people are talking about this, and some leaders, like I've mentioned earlier in my introduction, are still struggling on how would they handle this next normal. So, for you, how would you describe or define next normal?
Okay, I think I will see it in probably three area. One
Mm-hmm.
is about the personal perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be taking good care of ourselves. We have to practice stress relief and also mindfulness. We have
Mm-hmm.
to listen to our body. We recently heard about one story about Goldman Sachs that people are working 90 hours per day.
Wow.
We see burnout. We see domestic violence last year. So I think the most important thing is, make sure you take good care of yourself before, you can have, contribute 100% to your work. So this
Mm-hmm.
is the first thing. The second thing that I see is social, racial justice and social equality will be being addressed in company D&I program. And
Mm-hmm.
this will also get priority. So we hear from a lot of Fortune 500 company that they have a stand about various racial issue that has been happening in different parts of the world. So we actually see that a company is taking a stand which is increasingly a stronger stand to state that they will be supporting D&I, and hopefully with that we will get more fair treatment, and also we will be able to see more diversity of leaders on the top. The third thing that I see is the worsened economic inequality through the COVID period, um, especially when we are working from home. For
Mm-hmm.
those who are highly connected and tech savvy, actually, go ahead a bit further. Their life will be less stressful. But for those who have less access to the technical tools and also less training or aptitude, it will be very challenging for them with the technological change, and it might also affect the way that they have to collaborate and work. The
Mm-hmm.
fourth thing that I see is the fourth and the fifth thing is actually quite related. The fourth thing is we see a lot of misinformation, a lot of digital propaganda by government, by politicians, and there are a lot of fake news. I heard some of the company, they start training their employee about fact checked, how to do fact check when you see some news in the internet. So we are actually bombarded by a lot of misinformation, cyber attack. So I think this alert will have to be always there. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing that is related is through the social media, we see the best and the worst of the human nature are being amplified. So when we are, reading news, when we are reading, some posts, trying to stay objective rather than taking a very emotional approach to view the thing and forward the news before fact check, because it's just create a lot of painful experience for those who were being condemned on the internet. The last thing I think a lot of people talk about it is about the evolution of the digital lives, the increased usage of technology and data to achieve better result and make informed decision. We see that last year, tele everything is being embraced. We see faculty teaching in hologram. We see company using AR, VR, MR, machine learning, automation, robotics. A lot of things that is happening. I think a lot of optimism about the technology can bring us a lot of good things, but we are also experiencing information overloaded and over collaboration and Zoom fatigue. So I think this will be going on. So leaders, if you are deciding to have a town hall, please make sure that this is really necessary to have a town hall. Otherwise, go for small meeting.
Thank you for
Yeah.
those tips. That's gonna be really helpful for leaders. I agree with you. A lot of Zoom meetings, Zoom webinars happening, and people are just getting tired of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so now we go to the next level where we define or we identify more specific things.
Mm.
So from your experience as a corporate leader and also working with corporate leaders, what would you say is the top three problems that they normally face?
Um, I think the first one is facing a lot of dilemma in day-to-day work. Either
Mhm,
you're facing some business decision that you don't agree, but you still have to roll out. You have to
mhm,
let people go. You have to make business decision which might sacrifice some of the existing thing that you have.
mhm.
And the most difficult thing is balancing work and also personal life. I think most of the people put work first, live later. The second thing that I see is how to maintain focus when we have a lot of competing commitments and also competing priorities. And the third thing is about staying motivated because a lot of time you are facing a lot of negative or dilemma which really drain you a lot. How can you stay motivated, energized, so that you can actually have positive influence to your team? So I think these are the three things that I see.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I mean, like when you're in a business, like every day would be like a different day, right? And sometimes when you have like problems or fallbacks, you sometimes, the motivation that you mentioned is like trying to pull yourself up every time, right?
Yeah.
And that's important to be able to prioritize and focus on what you really want um, in the course, right?
Yeah.
No matter what's happening, whether there are negative things going on. And the next question I have is, what are the important leadership capabilities or skills you must have in the next normal to be able to continue to lead effectively?
Mm. I see four things. The four things are actually more soft skills related, I would say.
Wow.
The most important thing I think is courage. Without courage as a basic, character, you will not be able to do a lot of things, right? Without courage, you will not be able to stand up. You will not be able to face difficulty. And the second thing that I was thinking about is about curiosity and also lifelong learning. So as a leader, you have to be always curious. You have to, learn about new things, be curious about new things, so that you will be able to, enrich your knowledge, and you will not be outdated, right? The second
Right.
thing is you have to help your team to find their own purpose, because without a strong purpose in life, it's very difficult for people to see, what is the meaning of their work. Are they in the right work? So helping
Mhm,
people to find their purpose is important.
mhm.
The third thing that I see is about empathy, respect, and also strong ethical orientation. Because nowadays, we have to make a lot of tough decisions, but it doesn't mean that you don't need to treat people with respect. And without a strong ethical orientation, you will just lose trust from your team and also about your company. So that's why I think these three things is important. Lastly, last thing is about communication. Please reach out to your people. Please keep an open door, policy. Let people to talk to you rather than people worry that, oh, my boss is so busy, I better not to bother them. No, you should keep your door open and encourage your team to talk to you.
True, true. And I'm really glad you highlighted all this. And a lot of these, like what we've said, are human skills or soft skills, like what
Mm,
you've mentioned. And I think that's where a lot of leaders are missing out. I mean, right?
mm. Yeah.
So thank you so much for letting us know on that on these important capabilities or skills for leaders to continuously lead effectively. So what do you believe is the role of learning, leadership, and transformation in being able to thrive in the next normal?
Mm. I identify five items. So the first one is don't do propaganda, but really act on it, because we see a lot of leaders. They were talking about very big project, but when we talk to their staff, it's actually everyone will tell you that, oh, he's just talking, he's not going to do it. So stop doing propaganda, but really act on the words that you say about what you will have to do. The second thing is about how to increase the employability of your employee. So having skills assessment, development, to provide information about future skill trend, reskilling and upskilling opportunity are crucial to ensure that people will have employability in the future. The third one is probably a boring one or not so attractive one, is to enable process improvement, because we see that a lot of company are doing automation, a lot of company are doing robotics, but without improving or rectifying the existing process, you go for automation. It means that you are just garbage in, garbage out. You are not reaping the benefits of automation. So going back to the basic, look at the process, improve the process before you do automation, and you will have a better map of reskilling or upskilling your workforce to handle more complex and meaningful work. And you have to communicate to them that this kind of reskilling and upskilling is not to replace them, but is to help them to improve their income and employability. The fourth one is about design-led transformation. When we talk about transformation, we always talk about, what does the grand plan, what does the future look like? But we have to go back to the basic and focus on the user and also the customer experience before we do any transformation. And the last one is stronger private and public collaboration to tackle issues on unemployment and also new business opportunities like 5G implementation.
True. Thank you so much for all those valuable insights coming from you. And so we go to the next one, which is my Miss Universe questions. So the first one would be, if you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it?
Okay, so when I read this question, actually I was thinking deeply about what I can really want to do and what I really want to change. Then I remember when I was studying at school, in the Bible, Genesis 11:1 is mentioned about God. At that time, it was before the tribes and nation that was described in Genesis 10 was formed. All the people of the earth share actually one language and also one culture. So they share the goal of not wanting to be separated, and they also want to make themselves to be very great by building an enormous tower, and apparently without acknowledging God. So God make a decision to keep humanity from being too powerful and lapsing into the widespread sins which inspired the flood. God will confuses human language and scatter mankind around the world. From then, we have all different language in the world. So if I have a magic wand, I would like to, turn back the clock. We only speak one language. We only have one culture. Then, the racial justice and also the hatred and also bias in the world will be clear.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I love that. I love that having, I think that's what's happening right now. And that's the reason why we're having like a lot of problems when it comes to communications. Like I read like one article, they were saying 6 out of 10 leadership skills that are necessary are pertaining to
Yeah.
leadership communications. And I love that part where you said that, you hope that all people would share one language and one culture. Um, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And the next question I had, the next and last question would be, if you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? And please feel free to share with us why.
Okay. The question will be, who am I? The reason why is throughout my study of psychoanalysis, I learned to be doing a lot of reflection all the time. Reflection actually help you to accept the self that you like, and also the self that you feel ashamed of. So this is actually a more realistic assessment about yourself. No matter it's good or bad, you have to accept yourself and to be a whole, so that you will be mentally and also psychologically healthy.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that's something important, continuously having that reflection, like what you've mentioned, and continuously assessing ourselves, and to be able to accept who we are, because we are so blessed to be unique and to be beautiful that way, right?
Yes, definitely.
So before we end this interview, is there anything more that you'd like to share with our audience in terms of leadership and transformation, or probably invite them in what you've been doing recently?
Uh, so recently, I have been learning, different things. I think, in terms of leadership, there is something that I learned is about organizational network analysis.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of time when we look at organization, the first thing that we look at is organizational chart. But actually, something which is very important is actually the informal network, which
Mm-hmm.
who is the information driver, who is the blocker, who is not connected. So we will have to spend time to understand and also help people to be connected, so that we will be more efficient, and also to help to release the pressure of those who are really the information generator, to make sure that we they have a balanced life also.
Great. Thank you so much for that share. And yeah, I totally agree with you. Sometimes some people just look into the KPIs and performance without taking into consideration this organizational analysis that you've shared, which is the informal network, which includes drivers and blockers.
Yeah.
That's good. Yes, I'm really blessed that I was able to have like a chat with you today. We've been connected for the last over 3 years, right? And I'm really glad to have this conversation. We've learned so much from you. I'm sure that our audience also learned so much from you. And I really appreciate your to the point answers. And it's very to the point, and yet it's very intelligent. um, Very smart and very spot on, I would say, when it comes to leadership. Yeah. So
Thank you, Marilyn.
thank you so much, Betty. And thank you, everyone, for watching us. And we hope that you can join us in this whole year of intervention, learning, networking, including similar interviews. And if you would see below, we also have our website if you would like to find out more. And with that, we would like to leave you with this quote from Dolly Parton. If your actions create a legacy that inspires other others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Bye.